financial media, which is actually my area. So it's good to see that we have a good example of how the sector has done over 2021. Interestingly enough, ADBFN, the rise actually came almost at the turn of the year, and we've been basically on the front foot ever since. Looks like we're in a rising trend channel from last summer. Top of the channel heading for £1.40, and that could still be hit over the next, let's say, 2 to 3 months, something like that, while we hold above the 200-day moving average, currently at 63 pence. So that was a great mover for 2021. Another area that I'm very interested in is the podcast area, as maybe the current video is illustrating. Here we've got Audio Boom. And you can see here, just like ADBFN, the shares here started to rise almost at the turn of the year 12 months ago, and haven't really looked back since. The difference, I suppose, with both ADBFN and Audio Boom is that while many stocks fizzled out after Q1, this just kept on going, and it's still going. We had a resistance line there from back in June around £12.60. Managed to break that last week, and above £12.60, looking for as high as £15 for Audio Boom over the next month or so. If you're a fan of the stock and want to dream of higher highs and greater achievements, then I suppose the best case scenario here for 2022 would be a target up to that late December resistance line from 2020, as high as £20 or £21, maybe over the course, as I said, of next year, over maybe the first half of next year, hopefully, for Audio Boom. On to a totally different area now, away from my sort of favourite sectors. Here we've got Beowulf Mining, and here we had a stock which is a bit unusual in the sense that it had all its excitement in the last quarter of 2021. Beautiful breakout. Actually, the breakout came with the break of that red line there. That was around the 4 pence area. We haven't really looked back since. Broke the 200-day moving average. We've got the 50 and 200-day moving averages now rising in parallel, which tends to be a very good thing. One of the best signals there is. It's actually better than a golden cross. In terms of what the upside could be for the first half of 2022, here we're looking at potentially a target as high as 18 pence if we can break through that 12 to 13 pence resistance line there, top of that channel from October last year. So break of 13 could take Beowulf up to 18 on a 2 to 3 month view, or maybe less. Stop loss on that at the moment back below, I think 9p would do it, which is the last swing low for the shares. Onto a stock which I looked at countless times over 2021, a bit like a broken record. Here we've got Cyanconode, and what you'll be able to see here is the way that this was a sort of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back progression, but still a very strong one. What was interesting is that on the dips we tended to gap off support, so we did that in April, we did that in July, and then also back in October. That's, to me, is a very strong chart. In fact, we did that last year through the 200-day moving average at around the 2.5 pence level. So this stock has been on the radar in terms of these unfilled gaps to the upside for more than a year. And the latest rebound off the 50-day moving average at 19 pence suggests that we could hit 30 pence or even more in the first part of 2022. If you are, again, an optimist and looking for the big target here, then perhaps this line of resistance here up to 35 pence from April might fit the bill, maybe for Q1 2022. So a bit of momentum activity there for Cyanconode. Now a stock which also had a great 2021, one of the best stocks of the year. Here it's GTEC. We had obviously the massive rise for the stock in Q1, sort of January, February last year. And although we retraced all of that gain, we're actually now back near the highs. 50-day moving average coming in there at 31 pence as support. And especially while we're above the 30 pence area, looking for as high as 50 pence at the top of this year's price channel, maybe for Q1 2022. So above 30, looking for 50 on GTEC. Another stock which has had its moments in 2021 and was given lots of coverage here was GS Technologies. Here we had that Q1 surge and then a similar decline for the shares, but now above the 200-day moving average at 1.7 and especially above that support line there just below at 1.6 pence. We're looking for the shares to eventually flip back up to the upside. Best case scenario target over the next 3 to 6 months, first half of 2022, could be up to 4.5 pence. If you're cautious on the shares, you wait for the shares to break that October resistance line at 2.1 pence or the 50-day line at 2.25 pence. But it looks pretty well placed there for GS Technologies at the moment. Stock which I was aware of even before it came to market was Kistos, and obviously on that basis one can be kicking oneself as painfully as possible. Here the shares came into to the market at a penny and very shortly broke to the upside. I think breaking 110, 112 was the signal there, breaking the opening range. Never looked back at all, and we've got that rising trend channel that you can draw from back in March. Just of late, in the last week or two, we broke a line of resistance from October around 380, and above 380 we're looking for £5. What's that? £5.10, £5.20, perhaps over the next 1 to 2 months. So just literally a vertical situation there, and a very steady progression. No uncomfortable dips there for that stock. Interesting there that we still have that unfilled gap to the upside at the end of August. And as I said, the move breaking that October resistance line is an extra momentum signal and should reap further dividends for the bulls. Any dip towards the 50-day line, currently at 370, 380, can be regarded as buying opportunities on a technical basis in the interim ahead of that £5 plus technical target. Stock which was, I suppose, less high-profile winner this year was Petroneft. Here we got the shares again. They sort of jumped out of the gate at the beginning of January this year, and although it's been a little bit wobbly, we had a bit of a wobble after March. The March peak 3.5. We've had a decent rise for the 200-day moving average, and that's really been powering the stock higher. Above the recent support, 2.8 pence, looking for further gains, maybe up to the top of that rising trend channel as high as 6 pence over the first 3 to 6 months of 2022. If you are cautious, maybe wait for a definitive break of that 50-day moving average at 3.5 pence, but looks like the shares are in a pretty strong uptrend there at the moment. Personal favorite of mine was quantum blockchain over the year, just very inspiring. The quantum computing revolution that's sent to hit us. I think I was reading over the last week that quantum AI is now the joint buzzword. So using quantum computers to deliver better artificial intelligence. Let's see how that works over the next few years. But here we've got quantum blockchain breaking that line of resistance from October and holding the 50-day line over recent weeks. Above the, let's just call it the 2.8 pence area, looking for a fresh leg to the upside as high as 5.3 pence over the first quarter of 2022. But obviously this has been a great winner for 2021 as well. Finishing off with a stock which has been a dream in terms of charting and I suppose also the fundamental front. Colin Harrington doing a fine job at Zephyr Energy, and here a stock which flew out of the gate at the beginning of January and has never really looked back. I suppose it's consolidated rather a lot, and rather more than we would have liked in the 5 to 7 pence area, but I'm sure the shares will break out of that particular range very shortly in 2022. Break of the recent highs, 7 3/4, 7.8 pence, could take the shares up to a end of first quarter target for Zephyr up to 12 pence. But even if the timing is delayed, as I suppose it has been so far, it's been a magnificent performance, and you can't really blame the stock for consolidating at the higher levels. It's much better than retracing, which we've seen on some of the other 2021 rises, but at least above the 6 pence area, looking for 12 pence in the first quarter of 2022 on Zephyr. That's the end of the best of the 2021 stocks. Let's see what 2022 actually delivers over the next